Well, the divisional round in the NFL playoffs happened, and I have to say, it had it had everything that you could possibly want. Crazy plays, drama, crash outs, everything. Everything was there on full display. To the first game, to the last game. And we had to talk about it. The first game we had to talk about, of course, is the Bills and Broncos, in which Bo Nix doubted. Let's start from the top. I mean, Josh Allen lost them this game. We have to be completely forefront and honest. Those two fumbles, those interceptions, they were lucky that Denver did not capitalize on the fumble in the beginning of the second half and score a touchdown on that game, which more than likely would have put that game for our reach. But the Broncos could not capitalize. And the Bills' defense were making key stops earlier in the game. And Josh Allen having, what was it, like 3 interceptions, I think? Like completely unacceptable from a player like him when this was pretty much their last chance. No Mahomes, no Burrow, no Kansas City Chiefs. If you were going to win it, this is it. And Josh Allen played his worst playoff game that I've ever seen. And it's forefront on him. And, you can talk about the catch all day, but at the end of the day, dude, they lost that game themselves, even if ref ball came in at the end. But the Broncos defense, they can get scored on, definitely, which is a good sign for the Patriots. And so they were able to get scored on. The Broncos defense, they were still strong-suited enough to capitalize on Josh Allen and James Cook's mistakes. And the offense, when Bo Nix needed to be clutch again, and win the game, he did just that. And it was so insane. And regardless of ref ball, regardless of if his knee was down or not, Broncos won, and they are going to go to the AFC Championship game. And in the most short-lived celebration ever, it comes out that Bo Nix broke his ankle. And I don't think we'll ever see an injury news this shocking ever again, because nobody noticed it. He looked completely fine. He looked completely fine going out of the game. Nobody noticed anything, really. And then this comes out, and it's like, damn. And now the Broncos are left with Jarrett Stidham. And I saw some highlights, and he kind of looks good, but then you remember that he hasn't played any regular season games since the last week of the 2023 season. So take it with a grain of salt, I must say. And not only that, but they are going to play the team that drafted him. And he was thought of to be the possible successor to Tom Brady. And then he lost the quarterback battle to Cam Newton and was never seen again. And then Josh McDaniels, he was the head coach. He got Stidham on a team. And now they're going to play the Broncos are going to play the Patriots. And Josh McDaniels is the offensive coordinator for New England. And now we have ourselves a possible Nick Foles situation. A backup brought in who could possibly be the hero. And we'll see. We'll see what happens and we'll talk about more when we get to the Patriots game. But then we have the 49ers and the Seahawks, where Seattle hosted a playoff game for the first time in a decade since the Legion of Boom. And man, oh man, right at the gate, the Seahawks won the game. Kenneth Walker was dominating. Rashid Shaheed is that guy. And the Seahawks defense was nothing short but dominating. that whole game. And you have to give your props to Shanahan and for Salah for keeping this team as in the mix as long as they could, because Seahawks just dominated them in which way possible. Given the 49ers are injured to oblivion. Brandon Ayuk is gone. Ricky Pearsall couldn't do crap. They just couldn't do anything. And George Kittle, you don't know what his recovery timeline is going to be. So you don't know how he's going to come off that, or even if he's going to be the same player again. So the 49ers did all they could. The 49ers, they had a good run, but the Seahawks should win the Super Bowl. On paper, with that defense, with that rushing game, and if Sam Darnold doesn't make any mistakes, they genuinely should win the Super Bowl, and they are a favorite. Then we have ourselves the Texans and Patriots game, which I must say, CJ. You know I like CJ. What happened, dude? Like, seriously, what happened? Because this was not the same guy who had a come from behind victory against the Buccaneers and had the most electrifying rookie performance that I've ever seen in my life. That is not the same guy anymore. And now people are like, this is on CJ. Like, I know the Texas O-line is all battered up, but like, you can't look at that game and be like thinking the first person to blame is CJ, because it was. It was the first person to blame it CJ. And the Texans defense played an amazing game, and sure, it ran out because you can't win on your defense. Maybe Nick Sirianni figured that out, but the loss was on him. Yes, there was no Nico Collins. Yes, Dalton Schultz was out. But like, at the end of the day, dude, the loss is on him. And it's just disappointing because of how electrified he had of a rookie season. And the Patriots, they got to win because the Texans offense kept shooting themselves in the foot. And now I wasn't fully on that, but the Patriots, Deshaun Boot had an amazing catch. Drake May, still a great quarterback. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson got banged up, though. Hopefully they okay. But Stephon Diggs caught a touchdown pass. Doesn't he have a little case? But that doesn't matter. Patriots won, and now it's going to be Patriots and Broncos. And now, listen, a Nick Foles story would be cool, but at the end of the day, the Patriots head coach is Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel is a goddamn good coach. So you can't underrate him on that aspect. And the Patriots defense has been really good on the forefront of their defense. Really, their last two their playoff wins are built on their defense. And when you're facing a backup quarterback who hasn't started in 2 years in this magnitude of a game, this game could be a blowout for all sense, but it may not be a blowout on paper because of the Broncos' defense and how well they'll play. So it'll be an interesting game. I'll talk more about it in the conference championship predictions for me, so we'll see. And then we have ourselves a game which I said was my Super Bowl. The Rams and the Bears, and let me tell you, it lived up to it. It lived up to it a bit, and first things first, I have to give my props to the Bears defense because they played a great game. Dennis Allen had a great game plan because genuinely, they couldn't get anything going. They genuinely couldn't get anything going. They stumped Sean McVay, which is wild for today's NFL. Insane. And they genuinely played top-tier football on the defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball, the fourth down play calls were not working out. They genuinely were, like, hands off, like, dude. Like, let Caleb run or something, which they ended up later on doing. But, again, they just couldn't get anything on fourth down. They couldn't convert a fourth down. They could even if they did convert a fourth down, they barely could do it. But, yeah. I mean, the Rams had a touchdown early in the game, and then the Bears got a touchdown. Got a touchdown right after that. And then only field goals at the end of the game, at the end of the first half mattered. And then for like the whole third quarter, it was just a defensive stalemate. Offensive were trying to get going. The Bears had an offensive drive going, but they decided to call a handoff on 4th and 1, and well, that didn't work out. And then it was the fourth quarter, and Rams converted a 4th and 1 and then scored a handoff touchdown for Kyron Williams. And then it became Caleb Williams' drive time, and they got down all to the field, and they didn't convert a 4th and goal. But then the Bears' defense held on strong, and then it was time for the real legacy drive for Caleb Williams. Could Caleb Williams, after this whole season, after this whole miracle season, pull it off one last chance? And then it went down to a 4th and 4. And a few seconds into the play, it looked over. Williams was rolling back, running for his life, basically. He stops at the 40-yard line. He heaves it off his back foot. And then you see Cole Kmet catching the ball. And I'm not even sarcastically saying this. I'm not even, like, joking when I say this. When I say that was the greatest throw that I had ever seen in my life. Like, I don't think my jaw was on the floor. I was in shock. And, like, insanity. And then overtime started. And then they got stopped on a 3, and then the Rams had a 3 and out. And then you're thinking to yourself, holy crap, they could actually do it. And then the Bears got the ball, and they were driving down the field. Caleb Williams was carrying this team on his back, and then he went deep, and it got picked off. And I know, like, DJ Moore is catching some flack, and he deservedly should. But, like, Caleb should not have thrown that ball. He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have gone for the home run ball. He should have kept it short. He should have just doing with a check down or whatever. He just shouldn't have thrown it deep, and it cost him the game. And then Matthew Stafford went out there, and just like the Panthers game, he ripped out their hearts. Davante Adams had his most clutch catch in a good minute. Puka Nacua converted a 3rd and 6 because the Bears called zone for some damn reason. They converted it. Tried to make some shots at end zone. And then it was a 42-yard field goal. And he almost missed it, but Thicker the kicker got the field goal. And the Rams are going to the NFC Championship game. And Rams and the Bears, you have to give their hats off. Because the fact of the matter that they made it this far, they won the division, and finishing last year, is simply incredible. And Ben Johnson deserves all the praise in the world for what he's getting. The culture is definitely back in Chicago. They should build upon this. And who knows, maybe they'll make it all the way next year. But for now, what a successful season for the Bears, even though they lost. You have to be happy for them. And now we're going to get a rematch of the game of the year. Rams and Seahawks. Hopefully Sean McVay keeps Puka Nacua's phone away from him if they end up losing. But this is a rematch of the game of the year. There's so many storylines packed into the championship weekend. Matthew Stafford versus Sam Darnold. Matthew Stafford and the Rams have been here before. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks have not been here before. Mike McDonald has led a Baltimore defense to an AFC championship game, but the offense let him down. And now the Seahawks have the best defense in the NFC. And they have a really good run game with Kenneth Walker. And they have a great receiver in JSN. And now they are going to face the Rams. And the Rams-Seahawks game is basically for the Super Bowl. Genuinely, this is for the Super Bowl. These are the two best teams going at it. And the Patriots, listen, dude, the Patriots are just getting by because the offenses are just shooting themselves in the foot, if we're going to be completely honest. The Broncos, they have a backup quarterback, and And yeah, dude, like the Rams Seahawks game is basically gonna be the first Super Bowl, and I can't wait for it. It's gonna be so good, especially with that Seattle crowd. It's gonna be amazing. And that's it. Tomorrow I'm gonna make a video about the national championship game. Talk about that. And then I have some video ideas for music or whatever. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm planning on getting more active on here, even though the weather is very, very cold. But thanks for watching. Hope you all are having a great day. Happy MLK Day. Rest in peace to Martin Luther King Jr. And that's it. Bye.